Hey there YouTube, fellow fans. This is Daniel, back again with another video. This time I'm going to be going over the placement Jupiter in the sign of Scorpio. So what happens when Jupiter, again our planet of expansion, of luck, of all things great in life, what happens when it crosses through the constellation Scorpio? How does it affect the natal chart, and how does it affect people in certain transit situations? Well, Scorpio is an interesting mix with the planet Jupiter. Jupiter's energy, in some respects, becomes twisted. It becomes a little bit dark, a little bit maniacal. But on the other hand, Jupiter also becomes much more of a philosopher, much more of a forward thinker, and much more motivated to go after what it wants through the sign of Scorpio. So what happens in terms of the individual's luck should you have this placement? Well, Jupiter and Scorpio primarily will attract good luck when they devote themselves to a project, to some kind of undertaking that they can commit themselves to 110%. Scorpio thrives on obsession. It thrives on the ability to devote oneself 110% to any given task that it sees as very important or is monumental to its success. And Jupiter there provides you with the ability to go through these things and to gain from them financially, to gain from them emotionally, or in some other way that benefits the sign of Scorpio as related to Jupiter. You're going to have, as a natal position, you're going to have a need to draw on inner strength and use a kind of magnetic power that you have to achieve your goals and to oftentimes get through some of the difficult trials and errors that Scorpio can put you through. Scorpio, as well as the 8th house, represents sudden and oftentimes negative transformations that ultimately rely on a kind of phoenix effect, where the individual experiences great difficulties that are then followed by a renewed sense of self, a transformed sense of self that can only come through taking you down into the deepest, darkest places. And Scorpio does this to Jupiter. Jupiter on its own is a very happy-go-lucky, very positive, very motivating planet, and it represents the greatest ally that we have in the natal chart. In Scorpio, however, it looks at things a little bit different in that for Scorpio, Jupiter is more a means to an end, to achieve its goals and to seek out its rewards, however that may manifest for you, the individual. So in order to attract good fortune, if you're someone with this natal position, you need to be someone who is always looking at the long term, looking at investing all of yourself, and looking at being determined and sticking through things to the very end, no matter what that may be. This is part and parcel with how the sign of Scorpio reacts in any given planet, but how it manifests with Jupiter, again, is going to be that if you devote yourself to these things, then you're going to reap ever greater rewards through this planet and through this placement. You know, one of the key things to think about with Scorpio, as far as it relates to Jupiter, is the keen insight that you're going to have, that you're going to experience with regard to luck, with regard to anything having to do with any kind of gains in life. Is a keen sense to see what's hidden. You might think of a gambler at a card table, and you might have a sixth sense about what the house is holding, what other players are holding. You know when to quit, you know when to stay. Scorpio provides you with this, to be able to see beyond the superficial, to see beyond the top layer, and to really get down to the heart of the matter, and to ultimately, in the end, win and stick things out. You're going to have that uncanny ability to read between the lines and really to understand reality from a more deep and thorough understanding, and to really be able to tap into some deep and often dark energies that are going to allow you to resonate with better outcomes and with better situational forecasting in your day-to-day life, and in certain situations where you can go one way, you can go another, But ultimately you're going to choose the better of the two vis-a-vis this placement. So there's going to be also a natural talent for magnetism, for drawing people to you, and for being able to entrust yourself with only a few of these people. Because again, you're going to be able to see to their core. And as one of the great talents of Scorpio through Jupiter, it's going to be the ability to understand people at their depths and to understand when something's not right and when something makes sense. So you're going to be very good at making deals and making things happen that benefit you, and seeing the ulterior motives, I should say, that others might have. You're going to be very good with mysteries, things that are sacred, metaphysics, shamanism, and a deep understanding of sexuality, a deep understanding of the human body and its needs and its wants, and how to cultivate that into a positive and an enlightening and transformative force. Because again, Scorpio is the principal sex sign of the zodiac, as it relates through to the 8th house, again, of death, rebirth, transformation. All of those things they go hand in hand. Spirituality, death, and just a deeper understanding of these things and turning them into some kind of a positive outlet is going to be something that you're going to be very good at. Many therapists have this type of placement where they can assist people through traumatic situations in their life, things that are transformative and negative on the surface, but you can help people see deeper meaning and a deeper understanding behind why they're going through certain things that they may think are difficult, and ask themselves, why is this happening to me? Because I'm a good person and this and that. With this placement, you're going to bring that kind of philosopher enlightenment through scorpionic knowledge vis-a-vis Jupiter, as a kind of teacher, as a kind of person who is able to look beyond and to see the positive beyond the negative, and to see the bigger picture, which is again what Jupiter is all about. There's definitely going to be a desire for secrets, keeping secrets, having a somewhat serious demeanor when it comes to your personal engagements. There's definitely a darker, more mysterious side to this placement as well. And you may get called into question for this. You may get called into a kind of awkward situation with people about why you keep these secrets, or why you have certain things that you won't divulge. This is only going to help you. This is only going to make you stronger. As a Jupiter Scorpio, you need to understand that you are someone who relies on secrets, who relies on shadow, who relies on darkness, who relies on a certain depth within others and within yourself to maintain a certain degree of anonymity that protects you, that keeps you safe, that keeps you from getting into situations that you would rather not get involved in. This can be rightly or wrongly. Again, as an astrologer, part of my job is to make you understand what your placement really means, not so much pass a moral judgment on why you should or shouldn't behave a certain way. With Scorpio, certain things always come into play. Depending upon the planet, it's going to resonate in certain ways, but certainly with Jupiter, your luck, your fortune, your aptitude for success, for expansion, for growth. Oftentimes you can find yourself in a situation where secrets have to be maintained, where anonymity must be upheld, where you must really just come to understand that there's a certain degree of shadow that you have to maintain in your life in order to succeed and in order to gain the upper hand in a given situation. Scorpio often places Jupiter in a position where it has to forego certain things to get other things. So you may find yourself in a position where there's a need for sacrifice of some kind. Not necessarily physical sacrifice, but some degree of sacrifice nonetheless. And always for, the preservation of the self, because you have to remember that the 8th house, part of it, is, along with Scorpio, is about self-preservation. Scorpio is very interested in surviving. It's the survivalist sign, and coming out on top. As far as the Marsian nature behind Scorpio goes, as well as the Plutonian nature, it's kind of a dualistic thing. But all in all, it's going to be something that's going to resonate within you, and you're going to come into situations where you realize that in order for me to succeed, I have to do certain things that aren't always going to please everybody. But part of the realization of this placement is that that is the way it is, and there's really no way to change it. Passion, intensity, depth, devotion, all of these things come into play with regard to what's going to make you fortunate or unfortunate. If you don't dedicate yourself 1,000% to something, then you'll find that it slips from you. Scorpio is a somewhat unforgiving sign in and of itself, and the pressure that it places on Jupiter is it's somewhat of a negative tinge, in that it puts Jupiter in a position where it has to succumb to certain things, it has to resist certain things, and it has to ultimately be willing to die and be reborn in order to be successful and in order to prosper to its fullest extent. Someone who follows this path through and through, who has this placement, and especially if Jupiter is a dominant planet within your natal chart, this is going to be paramount to your success. This is going to be paramount to your ability to thrive in the long term throughout life. Jupiter is a planet that sticks with us through the majority of our life as an influencer, and is only seconded by Saturn in terms of its ability to influence our lives in a very real way, as far as the general nature of our life goes. Other planets are very situational, and so the share of their life of themselves in your life is a little bit limited. But Jupiter, because of its very nature, because it's tailored towards your grand scope of luck, your grand scope of ability to succeed with minimal effort, is definitely going to be something that you have to look at throughout your life, and not just in certain situations, but in work situations and social situations, even within yourself. It's going to be something that's very important. And so with this natal placement, you need to look at things from that perspective, and look at it from the perspective that as a Jupiter Scorpio, you have to realize certain things about yourself, and you have to understand that as you move forward through life, there's going to be things that are going to ask of you difficult things, difficult processes, and you have to be willing to undertake those. You have to be willing to have that devotion, to have that drive, and to be willing to, just like the phoenix, rise from the ashes and be anew and carry on and learn from that experience. The greatest depth of Jupiter, the greatest manifestation of Jupiter, is as a philosopher, as a teacher, as someone who imparts knowledge through its travels, through its understanding of the world, through its expansion. Not necessarily material gain. Material gain comes with that. Just like the person who goes through college and attains some kind of career, and over time becomes successful and wealthy because they've been smart the whole way. Jupiter in its greatest manifestation is very much that same way, where through its travels, through its experience, through its expansion, through its growth, it attains things over time and accumulates things, but those things are tokens of the real core of its value, which is the manifestation of knowledge. And the thirst for knowledge within Scorpio, the thirst for understanding, the thirst for the truth, the thirst for all things that are definite and real, that complete Scorpio's understanding of the world, are imparted on Jupiter in this placement. And so as a natal position will be imparted on you as well. And so these are some things that should be taken to heart when moving through life as a native of Jupiter and the sign of Scorpio. Well, this has been my analysis of the placement of Jupiter in the sign of Scorpio. If you have any questions or comments regarding this placement that you feel are personal to you, just send them in the comment box down below, and I'll be happy to get back to you in a relatively short period of time. And always happy to hear from all the fans. I love getting the comments. I love getting everything from you guys. I love seeing how these placements manifest in your life personally, and giving you feedback on how you might go in certain different directions is great as well. I enjoy it all very much. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye.